Welcome to AP Biology. Today I want to look at a graph that's kind of confusing. It's really an exception to the rule that I taught you in the last video. So I'm just going to read the question and I'll sort of talk you through it. Researchers were studying the effects of wolves' presence on the behavior of coyotes. So they wanted to know something about how wolves' presence affected the behavior. So behavior then must be something that you're measuring. So the thing that you measure is the dependent variable. And whether the wolves were present or not is what you know ahead of time, the independent variable. Researchers observed coyotes in a specific area of Yellowstone National Park and recorded the proportion of the coyotes' time spent in 5 different activities. So that means what they recorded, right? The time spent, that is your dependent variable. That's what they're measuring. And so they measured this when the wolves were present in the study area and when the wolves were absent. So the presence or absence is something they knew ahead of time. That's the independent variable. So typically when we graph, we're going to put what we know ahead of time, the independent variable. This is what you know before you start. And then your dependent variable is the thing that you measure. And usually you put that on the y-axis and then you draw your graph. So when I look at this graph, it's not a super simple thing. There are 3 things going on, right? There's proportion of time, there are the behaviors, and then there are wolf absent or wolf present. So the dependent variable is what I measure, and I am measuring proportion of time. So that is the dependent variable, that's true. But the independent variable isn't really what's here. It's not the behavior. It's not, are they resting or traveling or hunting? Um, the independent variable from reading this paragraph is really, are the wolves present or are the wolves absent? So if you had drawn a graph instead and you put the independent variable here, so maybe wolves are here and then no wolves right here, and then you did the proportion of time, then you could have, maybe rest could be here. Whoa. You could have a bar for rest and a bar for travel and a bar for hunting and et cetera, right? That would be a lot harder to read than the graph that's actually here. So be careful with it. If you can read what's going on and you understand the experiment and it's not displayed exactly the way you thought it might be displayed, go with what you're reading, with what you understand, with what you know. It might not always be displayed exactly the way I showed you last time. So what is going on here? The dependent variable is the proportion of time spent in each of these activities. But each of these activities, we know what activities we're going to study, but we don't know the proportion of time spent in each. The independent variable, though, is really, are the wolves present? Like the main thing that we're looking at is wolves present or wolves absent. That's what we really want to study. And then sort of secondarily, what is it that the coyotes are doing when the wolves are present or when the wolves are absent? So this wolf present or wolf absent is really what we're looking for the independent variable. So they ask for the independent variable, and their answer is the presence or absence of wolves. It's not the proportion of time, and it's not really even, are they traveling, hunting, feeding? It's presence or absence of wolves. And that's really because they spend all this time telling you very directly right here. Researchers, whoops, where's my pen? Researchers were studying the effect of wolves' presence on the behavior. So that means wolves' presence is the independent variable and behavior of coyotes is really the dependent variable. I know behavior is here where independent usually is, but it's really not. It's the dependent variable is the percentage of time that they're spending in each of these. Independent variable would be the wolves' present or absence. So bottom line, if your logic tells you one thing based on your reading, but the graph is displaying something in a little bit of a different way, you need to go with your logic. Go with what you're reading and what your understanding is of the problem. So sometimes studies are not presented with very strict and easy independent variable, dependent variable. Sometimes they're going to be a little bit more complex. And that's one of them for you. All right.